The market had been nervously awaiting this latest jobs report. So what does it mean for economic recovery? U.S. Secretary of Labor Hilda Solis is here to break down the numbers for us. She joins us live from Washington. Secretary Solis, thanks so much for joining us today. Give me your take on this number. Even though we did see some private sector hiring, an awful lot of investors seem to think this confirms the fact that this recovery is stalled.
Well, the recovery, I would say, is steady. I think that you have to look a little bit deeper to see where we actually have made some inroads. And I'll just take you back to January until, this point here. We've actually seen an increase of jobs that have been created in the private sector, over 630,000 jobs. And in fact, we continue to see more uppeak in the area of transportation, which is a good indicator, but also in healthcare and in other sectors that we're seeing that there is growth. We know that many businesses are still a little unsettled and not sure if they should expand. So we need to have policies in place that will give them the kinds of tax credits and kind of assurance that we are very supportive of them increasing their employee and also their production. In the automobile industry, we created 55,000 jobs. Now, given that we did lose 250,000, but people didn't want us to make that investment, and because of that, we kept some good middle-class jobs. And I think that we're going to see more jobs created in the recovery of those automobile industry plants.
We are making progress, but there's a discussion going on about the fact that the people who are unemployed for so long, and some have suggested that those people simply don't have the skill sets in order to find work in this kind of economy here in the U.S. And given the environment in Washington, there seems to be no appetite or ability to push through any kind of government programs to help. How are we going to resolve that?
Well, I'll tell you that through the Department of Labor, we've already issued about $750 million in job training opportunities. Much of that is going into place right now. A lot of it is going to be targeting renewable energy, high tech, IT, healthcare, areas where we know that there will be a growth. And the pattern that leads me to say that is because that's where I'm seeing manufacturing going in the renewable energy area, but also in healthcare. And a lot of that money will be rolling out, and you'll see more training opportunities offered for unemployed workers, dislocated workers. We're partnering with many segments of the small business community as well as community colleges, and we want to encourage people to take advantage of that. This is the best time to get those skill sets ready because there will be opportunities. I think businesses are waiting a little bit to see what's going to happen, but I think in the interest of time, we want to encourage people to take advantage of some of the things that we've already passed, like the HIRE Act, which gives you a $5,000 tax credit for a small business if you hire up and bring on an individual to come and work for you.
Let's talk about those small businesses. I was just out at a small business 2 weeks ago, and the owner of that small business really put a lot of blame on Washington, saying that all of the change that's happened, the uncertainty over taxes, over the impact of health care, all of these issues, he feels is really holding back companies, not only himself, but other his clients from hiring. Is there a leadership problem in Washington? What would you say to those small businesses who point to Washington as the problem?
Well, I think that overall the policies of the past have certainly brought us to this place now. But with the new administration, I do see some very strong structural changes. We are seeing job growth in manufacturing. We are seeing a comeback. And I think people have to be reminded of that. Think about all the teachers, police officers, firefighters also that could have lost their job. Just think of all, I think, the impact that we could have had we not helped provide sustainability for people to stay in those jobs, but also to make sure that people could get retraining. And education, I think, is number one. We have to keep our eye on the ball, make sure that people get into job training opportunities that the DOL offers. Much of it is free. In fact, we want to make sure that people take advantage right now when it is a slow period. In fact, small businesses could use some of the monies that we've given out, which we call on-the-job training. You can keep someone on your payroll. We will help to subsidize maybe 60, even 90% of wages that would normally go to train that individual. So people need to contact our offices, particularly the small businesses. The big companies are doing better than small businesses, and our focus is on looking at the engine of growth, and that comes from small businesses.
And that is certainly the case here in the U.S. economy. Secretary Solis, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.